Okay, this is going to be installment 9 in my 10 guns in 10 days challenge. And got a little line up here in front of me that I apologize to those of you that are already pretty familiar with this. But I mean, maybe you've never actually lined these all up beside each other just to take a look at them. Now, I don't even have a full representation. I'm missing some things like a 28, but who knows, maybe sometime. So this little fella, 410, and it's a fun round. Really difficult to get now that I'm finding. Seth started shooting that the other day, really loved it, and shot through a box of shells, and that was cool. But then I went to try to find some more, and not having much luck. And I don't really want to blow some good high brass shells on claybirds, so we're gonna probably hold off on that. And he agreed that he would be willing to take a shot with, pun intended, the 20 gauge. And boy, I am really falling in love with the 20 gauge. Nice light recoil as far as I'm concerned. I have that Stevens double. I also have a single that H&R. We're going to take that out today and give it a shot when we go to the range. So 410, 20, one of my favorites, the 16 gauge. And that's a high brass, because that's pretty much what that auto likes to eat, and does pretty good. And 16, much like the 20, recoil is not too bad, and it's a fun one to shoot. It's kind of unique. 2 3/4 12 gauge, and this is a good Grand Slam. What is this? Federal Turkey Grand Slam 2 3/4, sort of high brass, and that'll do the job just fine. But then you've got the 3-inch high brass 12 gauge turkey loads, and I'm filming this today because I'm going to do something dumb. I usually only shoot this thing when I have to, but I'm going to bring out the 10 gauge 3.5-inch Magnum number 4s. Yeah. What do I have to put in this? Well, I've got one of my favorite shotguns. This is an NEF Partner model SB2, 10 gauge, 3.5-inch chamber, single shot, break action, and oh my goodness, this thing weigh a ton. Not only does it have a barrel that looks like a piece of Schedule 40 pipe in the buttstock, in the channel for the screw, there's a piece of iron rod about that long to try to absorb some of the recoil, and it's really nice butt plate on there, well, recoil pad. And with this little fella, even as short as it is, a sling is kind of mandatory if you're going to be pumping that thing around in the turkey woods. And this still has its original extra full turkey choke that came with it. I never felt the need to put anything else on it. It does the job just fine. So I'm going to take this down to the range today, and just for you, Rob, since you suffered through some of those 12 gauge 3-inch Magnum shells, I'm going to fire off at least 1 or 2 of these Remington Premier Magnum turkey loads. 10 gauge 3.5-inch, 1210 feet per second, 2 1/4 ounces of shot, number 4. Let me come in close. I got a picture I want to show. This is a picture taken, I think, in the driveway of my parents' house out there in western Pennsylvania. And you can't see it very well. It's because of the yellow. But that date on that picture is 4/27/2006. Now, I had this shotgun since sometime in the mid-90s when I bought it. So it had actually taken a couple of birds by this time. But yeah, that's me in some younger days, and that was a pretty decent. I mean, a little Jake. He's got the little keystone there on his tail fan, but that was one of the successful hunts. There was another hunt that I took this thing on. In fact, the first hunt after I bought it, I harvested a nice big gobbler. He come right down off the roost, flew right to me, and I bought this 10 gauge because I wanted to be able to reach out really far, and he landed about 20 feet in front of me, and boy did he drop. There was another hunt just about the same place a year or two later, and I had an accidental kill. I killed 2 birds with 1 shot with that 10 gauge. There was a jake down behind a gobbler, and didn't see him in the depression. When I cracked off the shot and walked out there, I had 2 birds flopping on the ground. When I carried them back up to the house, I had one over each shoulder, and with my turkey vest on, and they were looking bulky. I had a wing hanging out on one side of me, and I had a wing hanging out on the other side of me. And Dad was sitting out on the porch drinking coffee, and he says, "Jesus Christ, boy, what'd you shoot, a pterodactyl?" It was a good one. So just in case that perspective didn't come out as clear from across the garage, there's an up close of the 410 through the 10 gauge. And like I say, this isn't even an accurate representation of all of them. There's a couple more in there that I don't have yet, but we're working on it. And while I'm panned in close, let's get a couple of close-ups of that shotgun. Okay, so nice thick recoil pad on there, and just a plain old black stock. I've never felt the need to camo this thing up. It's matte enough, and I mean, just not a problem. The brake action was one of the thumb brake opens, and she kicks the shells out pretty good. She's got some dings and scratches. She's been hunted. Now, this is one of the guns that I have that I have actually named it, and I named it Patience because it taught me patience. Turkey hunting, you can have the longest range gun you want, but you got to have some patience to get yourself a bird. And even though this one will reach out there, I'm trying to. All right, there's a better shot of the side of the receiver. New England Firearms, Gardner, Mass. Now, it is just such a shame that the company doesn't produce guns anymore. I guess this is one of those that's kind of lost in that Marlin, Remington, whatever. But boy, I'd love to see them do something to bring that company back and start producing rifles and shotguns, singles, to give Henry a run for its money. I like the Henry products, but well, this does have provisions. It is already drilled and tapped for putting a scope or an optic something on it, but I've never felt the need. The old front bead does just a fine job. Now, one of the things I've always meant to do with this shotgun, and I haven't done it yet, maybe I will at some point, on this side of the receiver, nice, smooth, clean spot. I say I've named this shotgun Patience, and that's where I think I'd like to put her nameplate. I'd like to have that engraved at some point. I can probably just take the receiver into one of those trophy places or something and have that done. Maybe it's a little homage to my grandfather, who liked to put his little inscription on the side of his Savage. I'd like to do that with my 10 gauge turkey gun, and then whenever I pass that along, it'll have a little something of me on it. So hopefully the next footage you see will be me doing something foolish and putting a few rounds downrange. Alright, here you go. Here's my hapless turkey target. He's got a boomstick approved target head, nice little paintbrush beard, and we're going to see what happens with the 10 gauge. Sorry I didn't have time or think of it. I would have filled them up with some ballistic jello. Let's do this. Okay, you can see conditions are not exactly optimal on the range here today, a little muddy, but I'm going to step up here in front of the camera. I'm about, I don't know, 30 yards from that target. I put a nice big sheet of paper on it, and we're going to give her one more good clap. Alright, I'm pretty sure I flinched and pulled my shot to the right, or excuse me, to the left, but yeah, I might have still got him. There's a couple. Wish I wouldn't have pulled it, but I'm not shooting it again.